Okay, so we have four little problems here. The first one is to determine the mass of a 0.075 mole sample of sodium. So we're given moles, and we want to convert it to mass. Okay, this is a mole to mass problem, is how I'll refer to it. So we will start with 0.0750 moles of sodium, and we're going to multiply by a factor that has moles of sodium, grams of sodium over moles of sodium. My pen is acting a little funny this morning. So that, from what we saw in the previous slide, was 22.99 grams of sodium per 1 mole. So if we carry this out, moles of sodium are going to disappear. The answer will have units of grams of sodium, and if I did my arithmetic correctly, the answer is 1.72 grams of sodium is equivalent to 0.0750 moles of sodium. Questions? Okay, let's go. Yes? Not that I'm aware of. I wouldn't recommend it anyhow. You really need to grab a hold of this and use it, because we're going to assume that this is the way you're going to do things from now on. Yes?
How do you get 22.99 grams?
Okay, it was on the previous slide, but it comes from the periodic table. I will come back to your question in a minute. That's a good question. Nothing wrong with the question, but it is the mass of 1 mole. Let me go ahead and finish these, and then I'll come back to that question. B is the number of moles of sodium in a 62.5 gram sample. So that's a mass to mole conversion. Okay, so we'll start with 62.5 grams of sodium. We'll multiply that by a conversion factor that will have grams of sodium downstairs and moles of sodium upstairs. So that's 1 mole, 22.99 grams. And when I did the arithmetic, I got 2.72 moles of sodium. So that's just the inverse of the first one here. B is the inverse of A. Okay, the mass of a sample of sodium with 1 times 10 to the 25th sodium atoms. So that's going to be number of Na atoms. We're going to convert that to moles of Na, and then finally to the mass. So that's a 2-step conversion. Number to moles, moles to mass. Okay, we have everything we need for that. And so we're starting with 1.00 times 10 to the 25th atoms of Na. And we're going to, first of all, multiply that by 1 mole of sodium over Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of sodium. And then it asks for mass, so the last step is a mole to mass conversion, so that's 22.99 grams of sodium over 1 mole of sodium. And it's important to use the units. If you just write the numbers down and you don't put the units, you never know for sure where you are. It's the easiest recipe for disaster that I can give you. If you don't take time to write the units down, you're fooling yourself. Write them down, carry it through. After a while, it'll become a discipline that you won't even think about. But if you learn it now, it will pay great dividends. So atoms of sodium to moles of sodium to mass of sodium. The answer is 382 grams of sodium. Questions on that? The two-step conversion. All right, good, excellent. Let's look at the last one. The last one says, what's the mass of a single sodium atom? Well, there are several ways to go about this, but let's do it in terms of moles, because we know from what we said on the previous slide that there are 22.99 grams of sodium in 1 mole. So we can write down this factor to start with. And then we want to convert this using a factor that's moles of sodium over number of sodium atoms. Okay, now I didn't really have to think this through chemically in the sense that I knew I needed to get rid of moles of sodium. So 1 mole of sodium is equivalent to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd sodium atoms. And so my answer is going to be grams of sodium per atom. Grams of sodium per atom. The units take me right through it. Okay, if you use the units carefully, you can solve problems that you may not understand. I'm not sure I recommend that, but you can do it, and it's saved more than one student, including yours truly. 3.82 times 10 to the minus 23rd grams of sodium in 1 atom of sodium is the answer. So these are 4 examples of how to use conversion factors to go from mass to mole to number and various combinations thereof. Do you have a question? Yes? As long, in this problem it's pretty straightforward, but in some cases it may not be so straightforward, and it might be possible for you to get confused about grams of what you're talking about. If you're doing conversions in a chemical reaction, then you definitely want to put down grams of what it is.